Hello and welcome to episode 14 of our Timberborn Update 7 Folktails Hard Mode playthrough here in Cycle 20, Day 1. Last time, we started the process of doing multi-level farming, and we got this area a little bit better situated for the purpose of growing large quantities of oak trees, and we also started the process of turning this area into our metal farming, smelting, production, whatever you want to call it, district. And I think today probably a lot of the focus is going to need to be on this, and we've got a couple other things to take care of as well once we fully get started. But since we're already over here, let's go ahead and address something that I talked about a couple episodes ago, and you guys reminded me that I said I was going to do, which is connect this station to this station. But the problem is it's 42 meters, and it is somehow exactly the same height. I actually did not know that. But I had said that I was going to connect these for quite some time, and now it's it's time to follow through with that promise, but I'm not exactly sure that I'm going to be able to do it. So let's go ahead and pause real quick, because I do have a couple of options on how I want to make this happen. The obvious thing, I think, would be to build a little bit of a pylon here. We can just kind of put this guy in right there, but that might be too low. Yeah, the line's obstructed, so it's going to have to be a little higher than that. But the other problem with that is we might be getting into territory where this is just a little bit too far away. They might be able to do it. But let's see. Try to draw ourselves a straight line here. I think we might actually want to put something right there. Yeah, it says it's too far from a district, so yeah, unfortunately, all these trees that we put in, you know, kind of blocking our progress over here. And there's not really a great way to solve that problem without removing some trees. And, oh, I know that's going to just absolutely irritate the snot out of some of you guys. But if we go ahead and just say, you know what, we're going to do that, that does mean that this will connect here and here. And that will solve the problem of getting those two interconnected. The only reason that I have this set like so is so that I don't have to build anything else to get up to it. Obviously, I would love for this to be a more consistent height, but you know how it goes. You take what you get, and you don't throw a fit. Or I might have botched that a little bit, but you know what I'm talking about. So we are going to need to take a look and see if there's any way we can make this a slight bit more accessible. We've got this tree fully grown. This tree's at 3%. I'm going to say, you know what, let's just say sayonara to those couple trees there. We'll put in a couple of path squares, and that might get us close enough, maybe, to do this. We'll see what happens, but like I said, it just takes time, so we'll let them slowly get to work on that. And since we're already over here in our area of the underground ruins, there's a couple suggestions you guys had that were pretty good for this in terms of how we're going to build this while we have nasty water coming through, because you know we can't rely on just getting a drought. Could be bad tide, could not be, but we do have the option to go ahead and put in these 6x1 bridges, specifically right here, which would allow us to get across a decent bit. Actually, this right here would probably end up being even better. So if we just go ahead and do that, it's going to make it super simple for them to come over here and start putting the levees in. Obviously, it's not really a super ideal situation with all the bad water coming in, but depending on how we want to put this in, it's not necessarily going to be a bad thing. If I just pause construction on this levee, then they can start building these, and we will make some decent progress while we wait to see if it's going to be a bad tide or a drought. Just something to keep the beavers, you know, busy, interested, engaged. Hey, they already got those trees out of there. They've been doing numbers here. Is this close enough? It is. So that does mean that they're going to be able to build this hopefully pretty quickly, because this is nice and close to the zip line. And I think our builders are going to be able to make quick work of that. Go ahead and put this on triple speed. And we'll see when they come in here just how quickly that is. We don't necessarily have to wait, but it looks like these guys are already on the task. Hot to try getting that stuff taken care of, so it should not be an issue for too much longer while they get this stuff constructed. Might take them a little bit of time to get the zipline pylon materials in, but I do know that we have all of that ready to go, and that shouldn't be too much longer. So That's pretty much guaranteed to be good. I guess at this point I might as well just have this focused until they actually finish it. I don't know if they're going to do it today or not, because there's still 8 more planks required and then someone's got to come finish it. But they are going to take their time getting the rest of that done as well. Looks like they're coming over here. So we'll leave that alone, and now we got to talk about our little farm area here, because we've got a couple options. Some stuff you guys came up with, I think, is very important for us to go ahead and make an adjustment for. Remember I said at the end of the last episode that we were going to have an issue when we got to the top of the farm, wherever that was, because we'd have to have some way for the ladders to move around. Well, you guys reminded me that if we just put the ladders in the corner, then, you know, that's not going to be a problem, because you don't need those corner pieces when you build the walls out on this area. So, you know, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to blast this guy right out of the way, which is unfortunately going to require that we completely remove these side pieces as they've been built. But just so you know, we are going to be taking care of that as time goes by, and there's a couple other things I want to discuss. I just want to make sure we address this right off the bat, because there is a very high chance I would have just completely forgotten about it, even though it's in like 5 different spots in my little note-taking thing here. I don't want to block these pathways at the bottom here, because I do want them to be able to connect. So there is going to be a little bit of shenanigans in terms of the placement of this, but I think overall it's probably going to be the right thing to do. And we can mitigate this a little bit, the impact of having these ladder rungs in a specific spot, because remember, we still have to have farmhouses, and depending on how we want to set these up, we could either put maybe 1 per level might be enough, but we'll nestle it in such a way where one of the walls that isn't the doorway would just be behind the rungs there, and then that'll be what it's got to be. And we'll just do what we gotta do. You know the drill. So I'm gonna just say that we might as well just get that set up there and let them take care of that, as one does, as we continue moving around. And there's a bunch of other stuff we gotta get to too. There's so much. There's so much. But I think well, one of the things that kind of came up a lot was putting an aqueduct in to the farm area, and while that would be, I think, a fun thing to do, I don't know how viable it is in terms of being a practical thing for this specifically. You know, if we did something right here, then obviously that would be a slam dunk. But keep in mind that while this is not currently super high, I had the idea that this would be considerably taller than the rest of this area here, which would mean that if we're feeding this by an aqueduct, you know, the water's going to seek a level, right? If you have one tank connected to another tank with a piece of pipe in between, it's going to level out between those 2 reservoirs so that all of the water is at the same height relative to the ground, or to, I guess, gravity. And if this is taller, right here, if this is taller than this, hey, drought approaching, nice, that's going to make it really easy to finish our mine area, then the water's only ever going to be as tall as it is in the reservoir, which currently is only this tall, which I think is the height shore mod. I don't think works currently, but it would only be maybe a couple more blocks taller than this, which for how this is currently set up is perfectly fine. But for the purposes of maybe what we want to do further on, not so much. So that is something to keep an eye on there. Let's go ahead and get rid of this ladder stack in the middle. Slowly start the process of getting this reconfigured, as one does. Just a process. You already know. You already know. But we got stuff to do, so let's make that happen. Pop those in place, and then these middle bits here will need to go, but I'm going to wait until I have these things in the corners built. So then we can come back with all of that fun stuff. So, we have to decide. We have 3 wide here. Do we want it to look super pretty? And by super pretty, I mean it doesn't matter because we're never going to see this again. Do we want to use a 2x1 overhang and a platform, or do we want to use a 3x1 overhang? Or do we want to just say, you know what? It's going to be so much cheaper to use the platforms instead of the overhangs. We're just going to use the platforms, especially considering our metal situation. I think, while it's not an exciting option, it's probably the right one to go ahead and just use the platforms for the middle pieces here. As not exciting as that is, we do have to acknowledge that that is going to be a substantially cheaper thing for us to be doing. So it does seem like that's going to be the smart thing to do. So we'll come back to that in due time. Check out how the rest of this is going. Oh, they can't... What? They can't reach that? Okay, well, I guess what I need to do is I need to have this actually connected to something. That might help. Maybe just a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. So once we actually have our drought start, then, of course, there will be nothing coming through here, which means we can send our beavers down into the abyss to actually build all this stuff, and that's going to be great. And this is connected here, which is nice, because now we have kind of a weird loop thing that's not actually a complete loop. This goes here, to 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 here. So that's all fully connected in one thing now. They can get off and transfer here if they so desire. That's always an option, like it would be anytime you have multiple stations close to each other. But we did finally get that done, because I know that was something people were really, really wondering about as we moved forward there. But it looks like we can go ahead and get rid of these ladders here, get rid of those ladders there. And then, like I said, the simple thing, get these situated. And then, you know the drill. Fill it in. Wait, I don't want that to go there. Get out of here. Just fill it in with some dirt and continue the process of putting everything else in its place. Super exciting, right? Just gotta get it done. Gotta get it done. So, a lot of you said you wanted to see 2-block high everything everywhere, and I just completely forgot about that. Just put the rest of these things in. You know, it's well, they haven't built most of this yet. I know. Somewhere there's someone screaming at their computer. If that is you, I want you to know that I appreciate you. It's going to be okay. After I remove everything and put it back in place, you know how it goes. But all this has got to go. Gotta go. Gotta go. Gotta go. Gotta go. Come on. Get this out of here. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make this a double high at the bottom so that we can fit a farmhouse underneath, which hopefully actually fits. And then we will have to figure out how everything is going to be attached. Otherwise, it's a whole process. Remember kids, I don't spend hours and hours and hours. Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't spend hours and hours doing like planning sessions and consulting with focus groups and so on and so forth to try to figure out the most efficient way to do the stuff. I play the game. I play the game and I have a good time because you guys are fun to talk to on the internet, and it's really nothing that serious. But hey, this does fit, so we'll just keep on keeping on with that. So I appreciate the organic process of playing the game, and I know a lot of you who watch the videos do, and if you don't, well, that's okay. But just for your information, that's how these videos are, and they're not going to change. So hopefully you're not too disappointed about that. But other stuff that I said I was going to address earlier and then immediately started doing something else. There was a comment to check on the ladder path placement with our storage area here. And someone said it doesn't look like they're using these ladders. And they might not be. Although, honestly... Okay, now someone's... I don't know. They changed the ladders, and it always breaks my brain anytime something gets modified, because I guess the part of my brain that absorbs new information gave me the big old middle finger and left years ago at this point. So anytime something gets changed, it's just like, oh, come on, man, I gotta figure this whole thing out again. But I digress. Well, we put the paths in, and I just saw a couple beavers using it, so I guess that was a problem. I never thought it would be, but that's good, at the very least. So now we have... Just take this out of triple speed, because there's no reason to really be speeding through here. We have a 29-day drought. If I ran that on triple speed the entire time, that's 90 seconds per day. We might be able to get through the whole thing if it's on triple speed the entire time. But I don't really know that that's the best most enjoyable way to play the game. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not going to speed through this the whole time, but I'd rather, you know, get stuff fixed in the correct way than just say, oh, okay, well, we gotta go fast. It's like it's not Sonic, right? You don't gotta go fast. You can take the time. Make sure something gets done correctly, you know? But, at any rate, we can go ahead and we can put in some levees here. Even though I don't need to have these here. It's gonna be fine. Gonna be fine. We're just gonna get these put in just like so. Get these blockages removed. And remember, we're trying to force water to go through here. And then eventually around, or off the map, or something like that. And we want to generate power. So, that's what's going on with this. I think I might want to raise the terrain here. I don't know, we'll see. So we could either do that with the terrain raising, or I could just say, you know what, put some levees on it. But we are going to have to decide pretty soon what that's actually going to be. And I think in terms of power generation, since this is the Folktales, we can't compel the bad water source to just constantly eject bad water. We're going to have these big droughts. So there doesn't need to be a huge emphasis on the water wheels. And it's just one of those things where, you know, you might as well use the water while it's there. But when it's not there, you want to make sure you have a backup, and a pretty robust one at that. So I'm not, you know, I'm not married to the idea of having like a ton of water wheels. I think maybe a couple of them would be fine, just to make a little bit of use out of this space here. So what we can do is we can just kind of make this look nice coming through here, and then put next to it our windmills, because, well, okay, you probably can't do it on the very edge of the... Oh, no, you totally can. We just have to get the trees out of there. But, yeah, like one here, one here, one here, one here would probably be totally fine. We just have to have this situated the right way going through here, and I think that's probably fine. Just like that. And then we can have the water come out this way, and just decide how we want this to look here. There are trees in the way, and regardless of how we have this area set up, this is a depression that does have to be dealt with. So I'm thinking, for the sake of, you know, things looking decent, it's probably going to make sense to just fill this in with dirt around the whole way back here, and then have this just directed off the flow, off the side of the map. The bad water sources, if we jump into dev mode real quick, strength 3, totally fine. That'll flow just fine off of 2 edges with no cause for concern whatsoever. So if that's going to be the case, then we just need to go boop, right like that, and do what we got to do. So those guys will take care of that. We aren't going to need this levee here. That was a placeholder for when we had a bunch of nasty in here. And that means that in this area right here, we've got space for either some underground piles. That would be very nice, finding their way at home right here, with the ability for us to have other storage as well. Depending on how we want to have this laid out, we got options, don't forget. But keep in mind, the Folktales, when they're using the mine, actually no longer have to have any supplies whatsoever to run it. Which, I don't know. There's different ways to think about it. I've seen people complain that it takes a lot of the challenge out of the whatever thing. The recipe's really not that great to begin with. So I personally don't have a problem with it. It's very expensive to build. But not having to supply materials to the mine fundamentally changes how we approach this. Because instead of saying, oh, well, we have to have our space for the braided planks, we have to have our space for the dynamite, well, the Folktales don't use the dynamite anyway. We have to have space for the gears, so on, whatever. There's a whole complex that we would have had to otherwise develop and have everything organized in here. And that's no longer a thing. So what we can do is we can actually, if we don't want to have a ton of storage for everything, we could just say, you know what, the power's coming out of here. We're just going to put smelters, and I could fit 3 of them right here, and that would be perfectly fine. Very, very easy. Nice to get stuff set up, and we could actually get rid of these levees too. Yeah, you know what? We're not going to need these here anyway. Let's just get rid of those. I know. We just built this. Why are you tearing it down? it's the process, right? You got to trust the process. It's going to be all right. But if we do that, then we can... Okay, that's facing the wrong way, too. I know. I know I'm driving at least a few of you completely up the wall. But that's all right. We'll be okay. Yeah, I'm just going to get this whole thing situated before we before we all collectively blow a gasket over this. And, yeah, if we just put the power-consuming things right here, then we can have a very nice access right here by putting this mine in like so. We have 31,000 science. Yeah, let's just go ahead and unlock this. Now, the treated planks, 200, we have 200 of them. Totally fine. Gears, we have 420, needs 350. Logs, we got 3,600, needs 250. So this should be built relatively quickly. And then we just have this coming upstairs, so to speak, into the doorways of our smelters, which don't actually have to be right here, because we can kind of offset these back a little bit if we want to be really particular about stuff. I think what might look kind of cool is you blast this down just a touch, and it's not going to be perfect. Not going to be perfect, mind you, because, you know, the entrance is here and I only have two things on this side, but we blast this out a tiny bit. I'm going to have space for a 3x3, just a storage for the scrap metal. Then we can have a ladder right here, back up into 3 of these things. And then, because this is an underground storage, we could build platforms over the top of it, overhangs over the top of it. Let me just check clearances real quick, because somehow I still don't know those. If we do that... Oh yeah, totally. That'll totally work. I like that a lot. I like that idea tremendously. And then we can just have regular storage, just a large pile for the actual metal itself. And then we have a 2x3 space here that we can either put just, you know, random stuff, or we can utilize a medium tank and a couple of small storages, small warehouses for some food and water sustenance for the beavers. Or, alternatively, we get into bots. That'll be a great place to put a fuel tank, and then some other stuff up there as well. So, plenty to get excited about with that. Let's go ahead and get that on triple speed, because we know we definitely don't have to wait for that. I hate the idea of, like, time going by with nothing actually happening in the game. I know you guys have different thoughts about that. That's fine. Since we're here and we have a whole bunch of this nasty water around, I saw a couple of people expressing concern that the bad water was going to infect the tree farm. But as you can see, that's not a problem, because the height difference is sufficient enough to prevent any of this from actually mattering. Irrigation goes down much better than it goes up, and contamination works the same way. So that's good to see. And yes, Kurt and others, we do not have to have this here. I have to be careful not to... Oh, I actually can't click on the zipline. Never mind. I was going to say, we don't actually have to have this mess here anymore, because we got a zipline. They can just, you know, zipline over here. They can use this space to do whatever they want. Which, for our purposes, is going to be planting more trees. Making sure that they are marked for cutting, which... that's now a thing. So, tremendously helpful, tremendously efficient tree farm, wood farm. A couple people said, hey, you should put a second level on this. Yeah, that would be cool, but we don't need it. We have completely maxed out storage. We're going to be fine. Not a cause for concern. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. And by the ranch, I mean this. We haven't really done anything, because I didn't have anything set up. So we do need to take a little bit of time and make some more effort getting this area all situated. Because there's a lot of stuff that's got to get done in terms of blasting. I'm going to go ahead and put my double platforms here. That is too many platforms. But, man, I thought I already got rid of that. Anyway, so now these are all connected. Just get these situated like so. All the way there. Yeah. And we have to blast a whole bunch more of this stuff out so we actually have the room to continue building. And we have a pretty full storage of explosives. That's conveniently placed right here. It's just our builders have been, you know, kind of busy kind of busy doing a whole lot of stuff. So, it would be understandable that they haven't completed this yet. But we definitely need to make some more room over here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. It's about to be time for us to unplant all of this, and I mean all of this. I'm not going to tear the crops out of the ground, but we can unplant so they don't have to replant. And we do need to get this area going again. It looks like that's going to be a 3 and a 2 to get all this blown up. It's all going to happen in due time. It's just that due time is a little bit longer than I think most of us care to wait. So that's going to have to be what it is. We probably should look into adding some more builder beavers as well. It's just one of those things that, you know, if I say it, I'm going to get angry comments talking about how I say it all the time. So you already know. You already know. We're moving on. Just let them get this taken care of. With the knowledge that our metal is going to run out if we don't get this all taken care of over here also. So we do need to get these other trees out of the way. Got a couple here, got a couple here. These also probably should be removed. I'm kind of surprised they haven't gotten rid of these yet, but, you know, we literally just said something about how the builders are not adequate currently. So I think it's probably time to go ahead and build a little bit more housing. I know we said we wanted this to be better organized, and there's, you know, only so much you can do with that. But 6 more beavers would absolutely not hurt us. Would be nice to have that additional capacity for the workforce. So we'll go ahead and put these lodges in place, let them get populated, and continue going about our lives. Meanwhile, this area has just been completely ignored for like the 5th episode in a row. There's just so many other things I think are a little bit more important. Apologies to wheat farm enthusiasts, but we do seem to be doing just fine with what we got. We have cattail roots. We have... Actually, hold on. Do we not have any wheat flour? We don't. We don't. So I was wrong. That's never happened before. We gotta get some wheat going, man. We gotta get some wheat going, and I don't know that we have the I don't know if we have the resources over here to really make that work. Huh. Well, that's a little concerning. I know most of this hasn't been grown yet. Oh, there it goes. Well, so I guess I can just be wrong about that. But it's popping up now. It'll get ground in our grindstones, and it'll get turned into whatever other stuff we have to work with. But like, keep in mind, we got 1,700 bread. We're doing fine. Maple pastries are that's another thing entirely. That just seems to be more of a function of running out of wheat flour because we made so much bread. So if the bread is full, they can't make any more bread, which means it's going to be diverted to wheat flour. So I guess that's probably a problem that's going to solve itself. Good stuff. What we can do, and a couple people commented this, we got 28,000 science. We can turn the observatory off. We don't need to learn anything anymore. Send those beavers to work building stuff with their hands. We got plenty to accomplish. So that's making nice progress there. I can unpause this lumberjack flag so we can actually get these trees out of here instead of me just, you know, talking about it. I think, okay, these trees are too far away. So if I just move this guy here, I know this seems like it doesn't make any sense to just move that away, but now it's in range and everything can get taken care of. They are building the mine, which I guess probably didn't need to be a super huge priority. I'm actually going to pause it. I know. That's probably why a lot of stuff isn't getting done, because they're just schlepping materials for this all over the place. But now they can focus on getting everything else taken care of, and we can blast, and we can start building stuff, and we can just get a whole lot of stuff done. So, time-lapse friends, time-lapse enemies, let's all come together in this moment and realize that we absolutely must time-lapse, or else you're going to get 3 episodes of me yapping and not getting anything done. And there might be a couple people that like that, but the vast majority of you would just start becoming very upset with me if that were the case. So enjoy the process. of me spending probably more time than I should sitting here playing with dynamite and making small incremental improvements to blasting areas and setting stuff up. We already talked about the mine, so I don't think I need to take that building stuff out of time-lapse. I'll just do it, because we already said what we're going to do. Get that up and running. And we will see what this ends up looking like. But yes, it is a very, very long process with these large builds. And the way that we tend to do these videos isn't always conducive to that. And I do recognize that's a limitation of the way I've chosen to do things, and not necessarily a right way or a wrong way. It's just we decided we like the authentic, uncut play style, and that's why we're here. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. And well, I don't know. Maybe it's not why you're here. But I don't have 3 million subscribers and a team of editors to cut down 20 hours of gameplay footage into a 20-minute snappy video that, you know, gets a billion views. Like, I come home from my other job, and I play the Beaver game, and I have a really good time talking to you guys, and you guys seem to like what we got going on, so I'm happy to keep it going just that way as long as I can, as much as I can, and from time to time do the time lapses like this, so hopefully you can appreciate that, and if not, well, that's okay too. I'm glad you're here, and I hope that you can find some sort of enjoyment out of this anyhow. But all that being said, next time you hear from me is going to be after this time lapse, and I'll show you what we got done, and hopefully we can get into some sort of a rhythm on starting the process of actually planting our 3D farm. Okay, so let's come out of this time lapse, and there's a couple things I wanted to talk about that I kind of remembered while the time lapse was going on, but what you can see here is that we have made some pretty good progress getting this area cleared out, ready to go for actual conversion to a farm. We'll get there pretty soon, but I did want to let you guys see what this area is looking like now. Generating with only the windmills, only these 3 windmills, 462 out of the required quote-unquote 600 HP to run these smelters. And of course, once we have the bad water flowing through here, then that's going to obviously solve that problem as well. What I'm gonna do, a couple more things. We do need to have gravity batteries at some point. That's something that I think can be handled at a later time. But before I seal this up with this levee, I do want to come upstairs here and just go ahead and get the rest of these trees out of the way, remove this slope, and then go ahead and put in 3 more windmills on this side. Even if it's power we're not necessarily going to need to have, we're going to want it, I think at least. So before we get too excited about what else we got going on, let's give these guys a little bit of a path here just to get up into this space and I guess kind of prioritize some of this stuff, because there's a whole lot going on I'm making these builders do. We did manage to mostly fill our vacancies with the additional housing that we put in here, but we're not quite perfect yet. Not quite perfect yet. But something I kind of came across as I was putting these platforms in is, you know, we'd love to be able to have this whole area irrigated here, and it's going to come out to about right here-ish, I think. But, you know, I was thinking, this fills up with bad water. We got to fix that. And the answer to all of our problems is right here at this bad water source. And this is one of those guys that I identified earlier in the series. And I said, oh, how cool would it be if we just put a bad water rig right in here? Well, you know, as it turns out, that's exactly what this was designed for. And I think it would be fun for us to go ahead and do that. We do have kind of, not necessarily like super easy access currently to this, but before we have the next temperate cycle, I want to make sure this is actually taken care of. So we have a couple ways to go about this. Just to get this started, just to get this built, I am going to go ahead and put in a big old ladder here, because, you know, we don't really have the time to worry about, you know, particularities about how this is going to be set up when we really just need to have this thing actually finished, so we don't have bad water coming through here. But while they're working on that and jumping around to all this other different stuff, it was brought up in a couple of comments a couple videos ago that this would be a good place for bad water processing, just, you know, because of the rig, but also because we have the opportunity to put in another one of these zipline stations. Obviously, it would be connected to this guy. But for that to happen, we'd have to come up with an interesting-looking structure. Well, it doesn't have to look interesting. It could look like absolute garbage, but I think all of us would prefer for that to be something that would look good. Because this coming out right here, I think is a great opportunity to make something that looks a little bit interesting. And just take advantage of this natural... well, I guess technically this is ruins of a castle, so maybe it's not natural necessarily. But we can integrate a zipline station very nicely into this cliffside here, and then, of course, have a large tank for bad water. And depending on how we're feeling, maybe even a centrifuge or something over here. I know we have that over in this area as well. But, you know, right now, we can't make any more dynamite because we don't have any bad water. And we're not going to for another 6.2 days. Which is a big shame because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's got to get exploded here. So as good of a solution as this is, and I do think it's a good solution, it's not infallible. It's not perfect. So getting this taken care of probably should have happened a little bit sooner. But you know how that goes. We just have to make sure that they get that going. And I think they're making some nice progress there. But here, as you can see, we regrettably do not have the single dynamite required to make this perfect. So let's super prioritize that. And we're going to sacrifice a single, not a path, a single double dynamite for us to get that one dynamite. That other one has been prioritized. So it should be taken back to storage and then immediately taken back and gone all the way over to here, if I am correct. Yeah, it should eventually get there. And then I can come in here and I can put the other windmills in. And then at some point we can think about putting gravity batteries, but I'm not exactly sure how to make that work. I kind of just want to wait for the flywheels, to be perfectly honest with you. Alright, so that's taken care of. Easy thing to do. Oh, I forgot about this tree. Forgot about the tree. Easy thing to do is get that out of there. And then pop in a couple more of these guys. But I want to make sure, I'm pretty sure we have the materials to build all this stuff anyway. I want to make sure that what I'm building here is not going to take away from the incredibly urgent mission of finishing this Badwater rig as fast as possible. So that is super prioritized. It will stay super prioritized until it is finished. Unless we get to the end of this bad tide drought, not bad tide, get to the end of the drought and it's not done, in which case we'll have to immediately evacuate because, obviously, you know, unless we want the beavers to die horrible infected deaths. So you take a look at this. Badwater rig here will solve pretty much all of our bad water problems. Also because this will now be directing the bad water off the side of the map here. And, you know, the only other water sources to speak for over here are right here, which are currently clean water. And depending on how we build this, could very easily be diverted from interfering with our farm area. They're not going to be coming through over here or anything like that. And I think we are in very, very good shape. There's nothing else over here. It's a barren wasteland. We haven't gotten to anything quite yet with that. So, now that we actually have these smelters in place, they can't operate all the time because we don't have windmills all the time. But soon, very soon, they will be able to operate. And I think that's going to work tremendously well. I have this warehouse set to do nothing currently. I did put this in place with the idea of utilizing this for bot stuff later. So I could just say it's for punch cards, but I'm not making those right now, so there's not really any reason to do that. Just put it in as a placeholder so that, you know, we have room later on to put a tank up here, or however we choose. We actually haven't finished the mine yet, because I did want to prioritize these other things. But progress is occurring here, and I think we're going to be in decent shape. Let's help it along just a little bit. Just a little bit with the help of another builder's hut. I always click on the wrong thing with that. But that is going to be a good way to utilize the rest of our beavers. I know we only have 2 unemployed, but, you know, we can find other beavers if we're that desperate. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I love the, you know, the in-progress bits here. I think that's really cool. So, I know, completely unrelated, but I was just reminded that this large pile needs to be set to supply, because, of course, it does. That's just the way it is. We're not using a whole lot of logs right now, which, you know, another reason why I didn't want to double deck this, because we don't need it. But sometime soon-ish, we'll be able to utilize that, and that's going to look pretty nice once we have more wood being used. You know, Folktails is always kind of lacking in industrial consumption until you get to spots. And then it's just unbelievable how many supplies you go through. It's just instant. It's like, okay, well, now I'm running out of everything because, you know, that's just always how it goes. But I told you before the end of this episode, we're going to have this area in, you know, kind of some semblance of irrigation. And I'm hoping that can still be the case. I don't think anyone's coming over here yet, so I'm going to go ahead and blast this. What this is going to allow us to do is this is going to allow us to get most of the irrigable area actually set up. We don't have the metal yet. Remember, metal blocks aren't really being made to any tremendous quantity right now because we have no wind. And we have no gravity batteries, and we have no water coming through here. So it is what it is. Now I'm growing kind of concerned about our ability to finish these windmills. We have to remember, you can't let me forget, time-traveling viewers, you can't let me forget to seal this up in the next 2.6 days. We're going to have a terrible time. But I do think this is the more important thing to get finished. And as it stands now, we do have all of the gears necessary. That's the only component remaining. They just got to get it over here, and I think they're going to be able to get that done. Just got to give them a little bit more time. You know the drill. Just takes time, so on and so forth. But for us to actually grow stuff here, we obviously have to have water. And unfortunately, the design of this pillar thing is going to require that we have our final size more or less figured out. Our final height. And I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be. Like, right now, I have provisions for 1, 2, 3 levels. And then I guess technically 4, including the top. If we want to go ahead and get that. But obviously, there's so many things in the building queue that this isn't going to get touched anytime soon. So, we'll get that figured out. But I promise before this episode is over in a couple minutes, we will lay out, at the very least, the next level with all of the platforms that we can fit. All the platforms we can fit. Not necessarily all the platforms, but all the platforms we can fit. And start the process of getting that set up, even if it doesn't have water. So, we got 1.7 days. Keep monitoring that. Good. This is just about done. Obviously, this isn't going to be connected for anything, but we just need to have it in place so the water doesn't come out. Come on. Oh, you better get over here. You better finish this. You better finish. I know these beavers are all coming over here to, you know, get wood and build this stuff, but somebody's got to come finish this. All right, come on. Come on. Oh, no, no. Okay, it's done. It's done. Never mind. Problem solved. All right. Now we can panic significantly less. We just got to get these pieces over here now, and we are running a little low on the gears. That'll get picked back up. Should not be an issue. We're cutting it close. We're cutting it real close. Like, I don't think it's a danger zone yet, but, you know, yeah. I think we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. We might be cutting it a little close. But sometimes danger is fun. That's a bad statement to make. But yeah, the final day. That's finished. This is waiting on just a few more. Just a few more. I can't get rid of the stairs yet. But I think we're going to have just enough time. Just enough. All right, I got a couple more planks. Bring them on. Bring them in. Let's go. Let's go. We're halfway through our workday. Got to get it done. All right, who's going to be the hero? Who's going to be the hero? Come finish this thing. Let's go, bud. Let's go. Let's go. Where are you at? You better get over here. There you go. I miss the beard booster names, man. All right, let's get this taken out. What is this? Logs and planks. All right, that's sacrificed. We don't need it. Get this built. Utmost, highest priority. Just get that in place and stop talking about it. Come on. Come on, builder beavers. I know you want to come over here, and I know you want to build this one levee. That's the most important thing you're going to do today. Let's get it done. Come on. Come on. Oh, please. Get over here. Finish it. Finish it. All right, good. Problem solved. Now we should have, should being the operative term, when this comes out, it is going to flow gently this way. I guess I could have, you know, plugged that up, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. Flow through here, and then flow harmlessly off the side of the map, hopefully without any further tragedies. And this area is continuing as well. All right, we've got the metal blocks. So I'm going to unpause this platform. This is probably going to jump way ahead in the queue since we actually have the ability to get that accomplished. And there we go. Oh, we ran out of water. We ran out of water. Oh, boy. I didn't think that was going to happen. So we now know this is not enough capacity in any way, shape, or form. And this is going to kill... Oh, it's already killed half of it. I guess it doesn't matter. Gonna kill our crops. Alright, well, that's a problem for next episode to solve. That's not something we're going to be able to do super quickly. So, yeah. It is what it is. But the good news is, we got all the way through this drought. I did not think at the start of this episode that was going to happen. But we did it. And now it's about to be cycle 21, and now I have to actually, you know, own up to what I said I was going to do and get the rest of these platforms in, man. So cycle 21 begins. Obviously, I can't place all of these, but we can do a pretty decent number of them. And I am going to, just so we're all on the same page, pause these, because we can't actually build them yet. But you can see kind of what we're getting at here, and I've just realized I've made a tremendous mistake. And the way I put these platforms on the inside, these need to be every 3, not every 2. Not every 2. Oh, boy. Oh, I make so many of these stupid mistakes in these. I can't believe it. So, obviously, we can't let that ride. We gotta fix it. Gotta fix it. So, let's just take care of that really fast here. Obviously, this is going to be slightly annoying, but I do want to have the pathways around where the height of the terrain actually is going to be. So, that's going there, that's going there, it's going there, that's going there. These don't have ladders yet, but they will. But they will. We'll get it taken care of. Put that there, put that there, put that there, put that there. Make sure we put our paths in, because apparently we have to do that now. You know the drill. Alright. So, I told you we're gonna have our cake and eat it too. All of this is going to be land. Ready to go. Now, I know we still have plenty of other work to do, but this should give you an idea of what's going to be possible here. Right? We've got our lower level. This is all going to be irrigated, and it is tall enough to have a farmhouse underneath, just in the exact spot I said it would be. Although it doesn't have to be right there. We can put it anywhere pretty much underneath here. But I do think this would be a decent place. And if we take a look at it up here, the amount of space that this can cover is actually pretty substantial. And the way this is going to be set up, I think is going to make the most sense to have in the middle of this a zipline station right at the top over our water area. We can probably even just set it up right like this, assuming this was the top and there's actually water in here. Put one of these here, water dump, so on and so forth. We got easy access with the ladders to all levels. We could have a farm pretty much wherever we want, and that's going to be fine. We'll let them, you know, continue doing their work here. I thought I had this paused. I don't have it paused, but I'm going to have enough. That is paused. Why is that? Oh, I paused it after the fact. That's fine. All right, so you can see we got clean water coming in from here. Unfortunately, we are going to have to do a diversion for the bad water, but for right now, it's fine because this can't actually get in. And we're also not, you know, growing any crops. But let's you know, check this out. I really hope this doesn't have a bad time. Like, purely from like a metrics standpoint, it should be okay. Looks like it is. Yeah. There you go. Oh, yeah. 150 HP, 140. Okay, now it's going down. But that's okay. We're still making way more power than we can realistically use. And there's no overflow. Everything's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this, honestly. You know, we can probably make some improvements to it, but for what it is and for what we thought it was going to have to be, that is perfectly okay. So yes, obviously still tons of work to do here. I'm not going to beat around the bush anymore. That's just the way it is. But it is time for us to say goodbye this episode. You already know, beard boosters make all this stuff possible. The constant support that they give makes me able to continue to do this every single day as much as I can, and not worry about courting sponsors or trying to game the algorithms or whatever. It's just, we're here, we're playing beavers, we're having a good time, and as soon as that stops being the case, we're done. But for now, I'm really enjoying this, really enjoying getting to talk to you guys in the comments and think about different ideas that we can take advantage of and different fun things that we can have here. And I hope you're enjoying the series. I super am. I'm having a fantastic time with this, and the other ones are fun too. So whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you back very soon in this series and the other ones. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.